see it in here, but I can just remember it. He was a contractor, and he was actually one of the people that promoted raising the sidewalks. And of course that may have coincided with his business as a contractor. But he was known as a man who raised the streets to the high grade. And one day in, here it is. I don't have the date here. After the Civil War, at the Metropolitan Theater, which was a theater where the Hussar Band played quite a lot, they're outside on the sidewalk playing at 8 in the evening. And he objected to that. He objected not to the music, but to the sidewalks being obstructed. His sidewalks. So they refused his request to vacate the sidewalks. He resorted to force. And this is when he's an old man of 50-something, which is old then. After they refused his request, he pushed people around and then blew a police whistle. The police came, they arrested him and took him to jail. According to the Sacramento Union, he vowed to defend his own case and show the city authorities something about city ordinances that they have forgotten. He says he is going to see that the sidewalks are cleared of hoodlums and that ladies and children are allowed to pass without insults. So, that's Stewart's Cross. And, actually, we're going to go right over there into that lonely little plot right over there. A moment. Okay. John Hitzenberger, who's buried right over in the Red Jacket tribe area, right over there, which has all the plots, all the headstones that look kind of similar. In that little depression area over there. That's the Red Man Tribe fraternity plot. John Hitzenberger and his partner, Mr. Ziegler, were proprietors of the Sanger Hall Saloon, a one-story brick building at 5th and K Street in Sacramento. Next to their building was the Grand Army Hall, a two-story brick structure that had a restaurant on the ground floor next to the saloon. Firemen responding to a blaze just after midnight, 1883, April 20th, in the restaurant's kitchen hosed it down, which may have weakened the building's structural integrity. The entire upper story fell over on top of the smaller building and carried it down to the floor and then down to the basement with everybody that was in the building. And that included Hitzenberger and 5 other victims, including 2 musicians who were also buried here, Henry Hopfe and Henry Schweitzer. Hitzenberger was a member of the 1st Artillery Band and played 2nd alto horn, and his saloon was a favorite gathering place for musicians. And Hopfe was a carriage painter who played E-flat tuba, and Schweitzer was a carpet beater who played B-flat cornet. The 1st Artillery Band had been playing down the street, so they came to Hitzenberger's pub and left their instruments on the pool table there, and then went down to bend their elbows down the street. And they heard about the fire, and then Hitzenberger locked up and left too. And then they heard about the fire, everybody rushed down, and they couldn't get in because his partner had left and locked the door. So they wanted to get their instruments. So they broke in. He unlocked the door. They went in. Somebody went around the back and broke in. Probably wanted to get their instruments. Hitzenberger heard the noise and went back and started arguing with the guy who had broken his door. The fire chief came on the scene and went around to the alley and went to the front door and saw them arguing, and then saw the ceiling come down and take them all down to the cellar. The building was shoddily made, only like 8 inches thick, and apparently wasn't tethered to anything. Didn't have like any kind of bracing. It was just standing there, and the fact that it had the 2 buildings sandwiched on either side of it made it stand up. But then when they hosed it down, it just kind of wobbled and fell over and killed a bunch of people. Calls for inspection were made. and a big deal was made about it, and ultimately not much happened. Just like a few years earlier, there was a collapse in, Maddie, what was that place? Yeah, Moore's Opera House that had collapsed a few years earlier. And so a detachment of 16 men from each of the companies of the regiment in the city came here and gave them full military honors. And there was a service at the Turner Hall that people couldn't get into. It was too crowded. Schweitzer's cornet was placed on top of the elaborate floral arrangements, and the funerals here were attended by every musician in the city. And so that's the story of the Sanger Hall tragedy. So we'll walk